Very good. They stifled us offensively. We really struggled to find good shots, which led to what we call turnover shots. I think we only had 4 or 5 early turnovers, but we had 5 or 6 shots that led to transition. Thought that set the tone. I thought that carried over to some of our early defensive mistakes, which let them get off to a good start. Once we got some of the defensive stuff solved, we never did crack the offensive code to get the shots that we needed. And obviously we're not going to be effective against a really good team if we only get to the foul line 12 times and miss 23. So 2 of those 3 things have to go together. We didn't turn it over a lot considering how they pressure us, but we're never going to win going 1 for 3 in our key areas. We have to be at least 2 for 3, and to beat a team as good as LSU, probably got to be 3 for 3. We weren't tonight. Get a chance to see them in a couple of weeks, but we had a great crowd and an opportunity, I think, for us to fix some things that need to be fixed to beat some of the top teams in the country. But we can't let them beat us twice. Can't let that carry over to tomorrow's prep for Kentucky.
In that third quarter, you did a better job rebounding and also defending in transition. What adjustments did you make to get that outcome?
Just pointed it out at halftime how poor it was in the first half. Our group's really good at responding when you give them solutional talk. Like if we just stand up and yell at them, they're not so good. But if we say, hey, change this, make sure we do this, they're really good at it. And they made good adjustments there in that third quarter. But we just never could put together 2 or 3 stops in a row or 2 or 3 baskets in a row. I've always said it's going to be a tough night when you get a 3 banked in on you, but it's really a tough night when somebody tries to throw an alley-oop and it goes in. So there's just so much to go back. I'm never good at coming in here and talking to y'all, and then I go home and watch the film. I'm not good at that. In 9 years or 10 years, I've never become good enough in that 20 minutes between to be right. So I won't speak too specifically, but I do think it was a lot LSU. I want to believe that. I'll find out how much of it was us, but I think it's just how good LSU is.
And then outside of a couple of bad shots, most of the shots you were taking were shots you're used to taking. They just weren't falling. Could you talk about sort of the morale when that's happening?
It's demoralizing. It really is. I mean, it's not frustrating. It goes to another level that they are open shots, and they're shots we made today in shoot around, and they're shots they made yesterday in practice. But it's good for us to be able to show, because it's different when you have Angel Reese's hand in your face, and it's different when you have Flau'jae Johnson in your right kneecap to kneecap. And if you do get by them, then there's help, and then there's more help. So we will be able to, I think, share with our kids that we need to go harder against air in practice. We can't just go through the motions. It takes lessons like this for a few kids that have not seen the difference in SEC and not SEC. But again, I think LSU is one of the top defensive teams in the country. So I'm not going to be too judgmental yet. I will get home and look at it again and see what you're saying is right. How many of them were shots they wanted us to take and how many we wanted to take. So, but it felt like that ratio was pretty far off.
To hold LSU, top scoring team in the country, to 69 points, what did you think of defensively today?
We had really good possessions. There were times that what we worked on and executed, I thought our first shot defense was really good. I mean, they shot 33% overall and had 23 offensive rebounds. Now, my Greenwood math even tells me 1 out of 2 is 50%. Some of them were 1 out of 3. We get them to miss a second time. But, to get out rebounded by 32, that's the killer right there. That's the number that, they got almost as many offensive rebounds as we did defensive. We've been good in that area. I think you can hold those guys to 69, but I think it's going to be hard to score 70 on them this year. Part of their numbers are inflated a little bit because of some of their competition. And then also their depth, when they sub, they still have really good players coming in. So they keep scoring on people. So I think 69, the number itself, the raw number is not bad, but I think there was more we could have done. And I thought when we did a good job, to hold Angel to 6 for 16, but so she missed 10 shots. I'm going to guess she got 5 of those right back. That's just my guess. I'll look at it when I get home, but that's my guess. But she's an impossible kid to, quote, box out. You can do all the box out drills all our coaches taught us back in the day, and it doesn't work against her. She's just so active, and she assumes every shot is missed and that every rebound is hers. But it wasn't just her. I mean, again, LaDazia Williams' impact on this team in her transfer from Missouri, it just gives them another weapon. They had 3 kids that had double-figure rebounds. That's crazy. But that's a Coach Mulkey team. You know her teams are going to be focused on rebounding. They're going to be focused on defense, and then the offense comes from it. And they have built a team that really takes on her coaching style over the years, regardless of where she's been and how she played.
And then this game was full, quite a few. I know in the third into the fourth quarter, a 15-2 run by LSU, just a lot of little spurts by them. How important is it to not have those lapses in scoring, especially against a team like LSU?
It's the difference in the SEC. You're not going to beat anybody if you have gaps like that. I think tonight was the first time I saw a little bit of this game was over before I felt like it was over. I don't know if that's our kids' maturity and knowing that leads, once they balloon like they did against the team, they start looking forward to, maybe it's better if I rest for Sunday. I know that's human nature. We can't be that team, though, because there's a lot of eyes watching how you play buzzer to buzzer. And I tried to talk to the kids about that. And I thought in the fourth quarter, I don't think we quit. I don't. It may have looked like that on a couple of possessions. We got frustrated and didn't maybe run back in transition. And that to the, to the person that doesn't see as much basketball as y'all do looks like it's lazy. It's not. I don't think we have a lazy bone in our kids' bodies. I think it's demoralizing frustration and a desire to please their coaches and teammates and fans. And again, what a great crowd for a Thursday night game. It is Thursday, isn't it? Thursday night game. So it's going to be the difference in us winning and losing, though, Ethan. If we can't stop strings like that and we can't find a way to get a stop or get a score, there's nobody in our league that we can beat.
Do you feel like the rebounding issues were like kind of a size mismatch, or what do you have to do to kind of avoid that sort of
I think that's who they are. They are a rebounding. That is what they emphasize. That is how they demoralize you. They don't demoralize you with pace or with this or that. They demoralize you with, hey, we guarded them and they just stick it back in on you. Or they miss a free throw and just get in there. There is some technique things. Don't get me wrong. There are some things we can improve technique-wise. But Angel Reese is one of the best rebounders our game's seen maybe since Courtney Paris. She's just really in tune to doing it, and now she's bringing other people along. We played against her as a freshman when she was at Maryland, and to see how far she's come, they've done a great job with her. And it's going to impact our league for a couple of years here.
Talk about the game, and you're talking about learning more from losing.
Yeah.
What do you think the team's going to learn from the fact that this is the first game all year you've played where a team's taking you out of your game plan, and what can they look forward to the rest of the season?
I already know, because I've talked to a couple of them, the importance of the stuff that doesn't seem important on 2-day prep and 1-day prep out. They now see how important it is. Like some of the stuff we were doing, they're like, okay, maybe this is going to matter. Maybe it's not. Hey, when you're in the back of the line working on this, you should be working on your ball handling, because you're going to have to be tighter with your handles. It'll be easy to show that now. It won't be hard to find enough clips to say that everything that we're talking about in practice, everything that's pointed out, it's going to matter Thursday night at 6:00. It might not feel like it matters right now and 2 days out from prep. It's going to matter Thursday night when you've got players like this, because every team in our league has got somebody or somebody's like this. So if you're not able to pretend in practice, you're only going to learn in games. So you got to learn in practice. I already know that's one of them. I think the others will figure out when we get home and break it down. But the value of every possession and the value of preparation.
And just the mindset of your team not being the underdog in the SEC anymore, and teams are looking to come in here to make a statement and win. How does that fare to some of the ones that are not used to that?
Again, I quote Papa Neighbors too many times, but he said everything changes when the deer gets the gun. The hunting becomes a different thing if the deer has a gun too. And that's what the SEC does. When you've got a target on your back and everybody's coming at you rather than going at everybody, you don't have that anymore. You get people's best efforts. I know it was very focused on this game because it's their first game against a ranked team. It's their first game against anybody in the top 50 in the net. I know Coach Mulkey and their staff well enough to know that they were going to be ready to play. And I thought from the tip all the way to the buzzer, they weren't looking at the scoreboard. They were valuing how they were asked to play on that possession. They didn't care that they were ahead they were mad when we scored at the buzzer. They are locked into that. And that's where we got to get if we want to be the best teams in the country. Now, I don't think this precludes us from being in the top conversation, the top 25 or 30 or how many ever. I just looked at the scores a second ago before I walked in. It's league time. I mean, the ACC's upside down on day one. I saw a Big 12 upset this afternoon. It's just what league does, and you can talk about it all you want. I have learned that over the years that you have to experience it, and I think a bunch of our kids got it tonight firsthand, and a reminder for even our older kids that what we do on Tuesday and Wednesday matters Thursday.
Last thing for me is just a positive note of the maturity of the team and how chippy things got. They didn't let that become a reason why things kind of got out of hand. So what does that say for Samara and Michaela to really hold the team down when things could easily get away from
it? Means they're doing the right amount of talking in the locker room, and we've got the right kids listening, and they are grasping the concept that's the intensity that you have to play with in this league to survive. And you do. I don't want our kids to ever step back, maybe not step forward, but hold your ground. And I thought we did that for the most part. I think we're all coiled a little bit more in 2023, or we'll go ahead and say it's 2023. All of us. I mean, it's not just us. It seems to be a nationwide, worldwide thing. And I don't know that it's good for us all. I hope that. And I talked to Alexis Morrison, the handshake line. That kid, I got too much respect for her, for anybody to think that she and I had an issue. Some people tried to escalate it and say that we'd had an issue. We didn't. And I don't want that to ever be the case. I've got too much respect for Coach Mulkey, what they do there, everything that they do and I want our kids to have that, but I also don't want anybody to back down. And I think that's where we're all at. But I'm glad that it didn't escalate into a fight, because a lot of times this year, that exact thing has escalated into a fight across the country. And it's carried on and it's moved on. But I was glad that maybe we were part of getting it better to where you can compete and you can have a moment like that and then you can move on.
I just have one. Talking about getting into league play, you got Kentucky on Sunday. Just thoughts on them?
I'm not as prepared as I told Callie I would be to talk about them. Sorry. It's always a hard place to play. Around New Year's Day is always hard. It is a tough environment. It is a tough place to play and travel. And then you surround it with that type of a day, and it's always a challenge. They don't have a Ryan Howard, for the first time in a number of years, but I think they're doing it more as a team, and they're spreading it around, which makes them as dangerous, but just in a different way. But it's been a long time since we've won up there. I'd have to go back and look at how far. So they'll have our full attention starting tomorrow at practice. And for us as coaches later tonight, but y'all will hear me say it too many times, but whatever happened tonight can't carry over to practice tomorrow. After we watch and move on, we got to really get focused in on Kentucky. Cause did they win tonight? Are they playing Missouri? Oh, they had the late game, didn't they? Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But it's always a tough place for us to play. Yeah. Grant, did you have a question? Did you raise your hand? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you characterize your post-game conversation with their coach?
Oh, it was good. Coach and I have shared some conversations about what's the best stuff for our league. And we talked about it there for, I don't know, probably a good minute and a half. And again, the respect that I have for what they do, I just didn't want there to be any feeling of animosity, that we can compete like that and shake hands and move on. There's been times this year we didn't be able to shake hands. In our league, I want to be able to shake hands with their coach and with their, and listen, the handshake lines are the worst places for emotions. I don't know why we do it. I wish the old wave of the COVID had stayed. To expect competitors to walk in that close proximity, man, you're just, and then we dress in this, we're together. So it's asking a lot, but I wanted to make sure before it got past she and I that it had, at least they got a chance to see us talk. And I do. I have a lot of respect for her. She's a lot different than I am in a lot of different ways, and she's a lot different. But that's okay. We can both be good for our league. And I don't know what anything else that was said on commentary or on social media. There's not very many people's opinion that I care about, but I don't want anybody to think that there's any animosity between staffs or players in this league, because there's not. We had good conversations. I'm not saying I don't know how many people sat on our bench, but I'm not saying we were 100%. But Coach Mulkey and I were fine.